Spider-Man Brand New Day has made $1 billion in just 6 days. And is it surprising? No, seeing that it made $927 million in its opening weekend alone. So it is of no surprise that now made $1 billion even before the second weekend comes around. And that shows the Tom Holland, Destin Daniel Cretton, and the Spider Man power. So, in this particular episode, we're going to talk more about some of the factors that might have led to its success. And it's indeed of no surprise how Spider Man is really beloved or loved by fans from all over the world. Currently, it has broken several records you know, from being the first or being the highest domestic box office weekend for the North American market. And when we talk about the North American market, we are referring to the US and Canada. And it's led the way with, um, sorry, it led the way with $60 million for the North American market, leading, even overcoming or supplanting one of the biggest movies of all time, the second biggest movie of all time on the box office, and that is Avengers Doomsday. Avengers Doomsday opened the first opening weekend domestically in the North American markets, made 600 and sorry, I might be mixing the numbers, but it made $357 million domestic box office in America compared to Tom Holland's $360 million. And that's by $3 million difference. That is how powerful Holland's Spider-Man Brand New Day is. And it is really exciting because in the post-COVID era, those films have been doing quite well, but not as significantly, gigantic as we have seen Spider-Man Brand New Day do. And it is really an interesting factor considering that Spider-Man Brand New Day is not just the only film that has made it into the billion-dollar bracket in this particular year alone, but it comes to join films like Toy Story 5 and also Michael, as well as the Super Mario Galaxy movie. So, in this year alone, compared to 2019, which had the highest, perhaps, number of films to have made it to $1 billion. They had three films to have made it to $1 billion in that year alone, which had never been done before. But in this year, we already have four films to have made it to $1 billion, with the likelihood of a third of a fifth and Sith joining in that bracket. And I'm talking about the Odyssey, which is circling around, that is Christopher Nolan's Odyssey, the Odyssey, which is circling around $912 million. So in about 2 weeks' time, it is very likely to join the billion-dollar bracket as well. And definitely a film like Avengers Doomsday, which will be released in December, would definitely make it to the box office without fail. It was going to make it to the billion-dollar bracket without fail, possibly supplanting its own record for being the fastest to have made a billion in just the opening weekend globally, not domestically, but globally. It made $1.2 billion in its opening weekend. So it is very likely that Avengers Doomsday may break its own record that it's set in 2019. Yeah, Endgame was released in 2019, if I'm not mistaken. So it is excitement all around for Kevin Feige, Amy Pascal, and Tom Rothman, who is the head of Sony Pictures. So it is quite exciting time for the superhero movies or movies at large because we have a lot of people going to the cinemas to watch these films, and film fans are excited as to the quality that the studios are churning out now. So, still moving forward, let's just take a quick look as to some of the records that the Tom Holland Spider-Man has already that is Tom Holland's Spider-Man Brand New Day has already broken on the box office record. I may not be displaying it on the screen, but quickly, when you go to the box office mojo, let me just see if I can pull up this information because it will be great to see what I'm talking about, what I'm referencing. Yeah, so quickly, yeah, so on the yep, on the box office mojo, you have Tom Holland's Spider-Man Brand New Day making setting some magnificent records all over. And there you have it in your shorts, the all-time charts. You have Tom Holland's Spider-Man Brand New Day being the very first to have made it to $100 million. That's the fastest to have made to $100 million. Also, it is the fastest to have made it to $150 million, as well as being the fastest to have made it to $200 million. Again, $250 million and $300 million. As a matter of fact, is the fastest to have made it to 350 and also $400 million. And this it did in such magnificent order. So just the first day alone, when the Spider-Man Brand New Day released, it made it to both 100 million and 150. And then the second day, it made it to both 200 and $250 million. And then on the third day, it made it to both 300 and 350, with the fourth day chalking up to $400 million. And that is quite exciting all around. So these are some of the magnificent records that Spider-Man Brand New Day has set for itself, and it looks like perhaps more will be following. Now, at this rate, it is very likely that Spider-Man Brand New Day would definitely be making it to a $2 billion milestone without a doubt. The only thing that could possibly there's in this particular season that it finds itself in, there isn't much competition. There isn't any tentpole of a film that could sort of siphon the audience, its audience. Yes, the Odyssey, which happens to be a big blockbuster from Christopher Nolan, isn't as established as an IP of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So definitely, and not just that, but it's already been in the run for quite some time. And therefore, a lot of people might have already watched it, and it's sort of you have a lot of audiences who will not be trooping in as before. But both films have done well, but it looks like Spider-Man Brand New Day will be dominating throughout the summer till the end of it as well. So it is really exciting how powerful Tom Holland as not just as an actor on this project, but he also came on aboard as a producer, and he was very instrumental to ensuring that they don't just produce any other film for the audiences to watch, just as usual, but they deliver their very best. So even behind the scenes in their interviews, a lot of the interviews that they have, you could hear Daniel Destin Cretton talking about how committed Tom Holland was in ensuring that their performances are not just authentic but are impactful for audiences to enjoy. And truly, for if you had the opportunity to watch it in the cinema, you realize that that is the case. I had the opportunity to watch it, and every scene of Spider-Man Brand New Day seems to have been well crafted, and with so much focus and intention to make sure that the fan who goes to the cinema to watch it enjoys every bit of it. So I can assure you, yeah, you are missing out if you don't go to the cinema to watch Spider-Man Brand New Day. I remember saying that the standard they have set for the MCU, the bar they have set, is so high now. And yes, even though I know Doomsday, together with the Russo brothers and Robert Downey Jr., I know they're going to do very well. But the bar they have set indeed would make them up their game in every level or aspect of storytelling, and I'm glad that is indeed the case. And key to it all as well, yes, you have the Feige and the Pascals and everybody supporting, but key to it all is this man on the screen, Daniel Destin Credin, or Destin Daniel Credin. I keep messing up the name, pardon me. Daniel Destin Credin indeed was the architect or was the director of Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. And Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, though might not have made such big box office hits like Spider-Man, I mean, definitely Spider-Man as a superhero character is way out of the league of Shang-Chi in terms of its popularity and how impactful it has been on the um, um, pop culture. Would I say, the pop culture trends over the years, and it's been in existence long before Shang-Chi was ever introduced, both in the medium of comics as well as on the silver screen. So definitely, comparatively, they are vast apart. But Shang-Chi, directed by Destin Daniel Cretton, was so amazing. We're introduced to an amazing world of the martial arts and the Asiatic region, and it was such an amazing storytelling told through the vision and the eyes of Daniel Destin Credit. So indeed, this man deserves his flowers, deserves all the applause for bringing, telling a cinematic story that is very refreshing. Where in times where there is this the claim of superhero fatigue, which I don't really think is superhero fatigue or there's something like that, but I think it's more of a mediocrity film storytelling fatigue. And yet he made you feel like there's still more stories to be told in the superhero genre. And it's such an amazing film. I can assure you of that. And this man, indeed, I think the sky is not even the limit. He also, he was the showrunner of Wonder Man, which stars Abdul Yahya Martin and Sir Ben Kingsley. And that story, the storytelling bit in it was so amazing and vastly different from the usual superhero stories that we are what I mean, from the usual superhero stories that we are used to. So watch it as well, and then you realize that Daniel Destin Credden indeed has a vast array of skill set in terms of being able to tell stories that can different audiences. So if you watch Wonder Man, it's almost like a love letter to Hollywood as to how actors with a dream to become, a superstar in the industry struggle their way to the top. So it is much more slow, far away from the high octane and the big bombastic spectacle of effects and all that. Is way removed from that. It's more of a carefully building towards a deep understanding as to the psyche of Wonder Man and how his personal struggles in trying to make it in the film industry. And then, if you watch Shang-Chi, it's an introduction to a young man who has been, who has removed himself from the criminal dealings of his father's empire, returning home to sort of defend uh, um, his mother's home or culture from his father. It's quite a complex and quite interesting storytelling, but he told it so nicely, and you could feel that Shang-Chi as an individual, acted by Simu Liu, defending his mother's land is not out of spite for his father, but with hoping that his father will do the right thing and not be, misled by the voices that he's hearing and said. So that story also is very different, sprawled with a couple of martial arts scenes which are so perfectly done. Obviously, you had the legendary Jackie Chan's stunt team helping on this. and also helping on the latest or first project, that is Spider-Man Brand New Day, was the Jackie Chan team as well, helping craft the the kung fu or the martial arts sequences as seen in the Spider-Man Brand New Day, particularly that of the hand fighting as a single unit against Spider-Man. It is indeed amazing. You should watch it. And the fighting sequences there is also vastly, or is very different from what we've seen in Shang-Chi. So this guy indeed deserves his flowers and is such an amazing filmmaker. I must admit, he's such an amazing filmmaker. And it's exciting to see that Marvel is coming up with such stories that is indeed wowing everybody, making everybody, you know, yearn to see more and know more about what is yet to come in the future films of Spider-Man Brand New Day. But the interesting thing is how powerful these couple, that is Tom Holland and Zendaya, their chemistry off screen is as powerful on screen as well. They are such a lovely couple, both off and on screen, and their acting prowess is on another level altogether. I think that partly their involvement as a dynamic duo, as a power couple, also might have contributed to the success of the film on this level. Not counting out the contributions of Daniel Destin, Credit Destin, I've said, and also Amy Pascal seeing the vision together with Tom Rothman, seeing the reason in when Kevin Feige proposed that they team up and make Spider-Man stories together. I'm sure she's now so happy and excited to have agreed to those terms. And definitely, I'm sure it's made her day so much that she I'm sure she's not going back ever again. As a matter of fact, I've heard, prior to doing this presentation, I heard that they've totally cancelled the Spider Verse stories that or film or universe that they are trying to build at Sony. And I'm thinking, this is just my own guess because I don't have any connections whatsoever. But my guess is that the idea of scrapping the Spider Verse universe they were trying to create, not the hated one, but in terms of having, is it the Venom? Who else? I'm messing up Venom. I'm trying to remember that the villain universe of Spider-Man. You know the 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 Rogues Gallery of Spider-Man. They scrapping it. I'm beginning to think that they are considering roping it in together into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I think that would be quite amazing. You remember a couple of weeks ago or so, Ryan Reynolds granted an interview to Josh Horowitz, and when he spoke about how initially when he was developing the story, I mean, he came on board whilst his writing partner has already started writing the story of Black Panther, and initially he wanted to use how am I missing the name? The one the villain that Aaron Taylor Johnson starred as. I'm trying to remember, but I'm blanking out. Pardon me. So he was trying to, get what's it called? He was trying to get that character to be the main villain instead of Killmonger. But unfortunately, due to certain rights issues and stuff, he couldn't secure the character to make that happen. Let me just check out the name. I just have to get the name right. Aaron Taylor Johnson. Uh, yeah, yeah. So Aaron Taylor Johnson's Marvel. Just give me a second. I would bring out the name. Marvel Sonny Roll. Yeah, you don't Craven the Hunter. Pardon me. I just blanked out. So Craven the Hunter. So initially, that's what Ran Coogler wanted to use as the main antagonist against the Black Panther. And unfortunately, because of rights issues and certain things, he couldn't use it. Kevin Feige told him that he would do his best, but it couldn't manifest. So now that the Sony has scrapped that villain universe they were creating, the Spider-Man's Road to Gallery they were creating, or cinematic universe they were creating on the other side of the filmmaking business. I believe very much that the idea, particularly with with this success of Spider-Man Brand New Day, they would be introducing them gradually into the main cinematic universe. Of course, I'm sure they're going to discuss the terms, and obviously, when it comes to their partnership, even using Spider-Man Brand New Day as an example or as the pattern for which they are possibly going to use the Rose Gallery here as well. Marvel deals with the creative side of it. That is Marvel that Disney deals with the creative side. So they deal with the actual production. That's not to say they don't the Sony part, that is Amy Pascal doesn't have input in it. They do have input in it. But when it comes to the major creative aspect of it, you have Kevin Feige as the main person behind it, trying to pioneer what they ought to do to make things happen. So I believe that there's a lot that they could do if they finally introduce Spider-Man's Rose Gallery into the cinematic universe. And I know this man would find ways and means of making them blend in naturally without us feeling that it is overstaffed. But I also like the fact that when it comes to Tom Holland now fitting in perfectly in the producerial role. He has ideas as to even how to hand over when it finally comes to that time. And I think that even before he does that, he is willing to. I mean, he's been in on Josh Horowitz' podcast. He spoke about how he is willing to stay on as long as Sony and Marvel will have him play in that role. And amazingly, let me bring up Tom Rothman. Amazingly, Sony Pictures chief Tom Rothman is is excited to have heard that and is willing to have him stay on as long as they could possibly keep him on. So I'm excited that it looks like all the parties involved love the collaboration that they have with Tom Holland, and seeing how visionary Tom Holland has become and has grown into that role, that character. It is definitely a no-brainer for them to keep him on and make sure that they tap into his vision as well as a producer, as an actor, as a contributing factor to make that a possibility. So it is indeed exciting to have all this excitement from all over as they are, teaming up to make this work. But all thanks to the visionary eye and leadership of Kevin Feige. Without Kevin Feige, I'm sure Sony would have still been producing their Spider-Man films. And yes, it does well, but in terms of the level and impact now that Spider-Man is making, Spider-Man Brand New Day is taking it to another level. That's not to say that the films that Sony produced on their own without the help of Marvel they never worked. It actually did work. You have Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, introducing us to Spider-Man for a new generation, pardoning, and then Spider-Man 2 became one of the best superhero movie uh, of all time, one of the best, and particularly the fighting sequence between Dr. Octavius and Tobey Maguire Spider-Man as well. So indeed, it is such an opportunity for. I mean, I think this man deserves all the flowers, deserves the respect for making Spider-Man, be that successful box office wise, as compared to what they were doing previously. That's in the previous one they did well as well, and not just that, but Kevin Feige was interviewed and he did say something about how successfully Spider-Man has been over the years. Let me see if I can pull up the article to so that I get what he was saying right. So, in an interview that he granted to the Variety, yes, in an interview that he granted to Variety, they speak of how prior to the success of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you had Spider-Man by Sam Raimi. The very first Spider-Man by Sam Raimi became the first, uh, became the very first film during the opening weekend to make it $200 million. And then it followed up with the Spider-Man 3 becoming the first to have made it to is it $150 million or $200 million before you had Avengers and the others following up. So, and he was also part as a producer of those films. So he has really learned he understands these characters and how audiences appreciate them to the level that he saw the vision and the need to bring Spider-Man into the fold of the Marvel Cinematic Universe box proper, and amazingly, it did work. So I'm hoping that now that they've scrapped the Spider-Man Rose Gallery in at Sony, I'm hoping that the plan is to see how they can bring it, not necessarily taking the rights, because definitely at this point in time, seeing how Spider-Man has become that successful, there is no way, there is no way on this God's green earth that Sony is going to sell the rights back or make the rights revert back to Marvel. It's never going to happen. But then what they can do is to collaborate just as they've done with four films of Spider-Man with Marvel and Disney to keep on collaborating and making films that the fans love. And I like the fact that yes, even though it's business, they are thinking about the fans, particularly the fans that love the comic books and have come to support the films as well. And it's exciting that not just Kevin Feige, but Amy Pascal agreed to it, tailored it to the head of Sony, and they have made this happen. So I'm really, really excited. And listen, this should not be the end. I think Tom Holland indeed would continue for quite a long time. He's just 30 years old, and I'm sure there's about 10 more years in him to be able to display his, uh, pardon me, to be able to display his antics. I mean, his acrobatic prowess in order to showcase his how nimble he is and his prowess as a Spider-Man for as long as possible. And indeed, I'm sure audiences will still be trooping in to go watch what he has to offer. But just before I wrap up, on a sad note, unfortunately, one star who happened to be in Spider-Man No Way Home, the lady who played the the lady who played the role of Ned's mother, or sorry, Ned's grandmother. I'm trying to bring up her image. Yes, I think she's called Rivera, Madame Rivera. I'm forgetting her first name. Unfortunately, has passed on. She died at the age of 82. And the scene she played in Spider-Man No Way Home was so amazing, and it created a lot of laughs. And in a sense that if you watched Spider-Man No Way Home when Ned and Zendaya, MJ were trying to open the portal, and then in came Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. This woman came in, was a little bit upset as to not just, I think, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man also came as well. And due to their spider senses taking off, they started shooting, webs, and it sort of messed up her kitchen. So she came in and asked them to clean the webs, and that's what Andrew Garfield did. I think they didn't clean. She was upset about what they did, but prior to that entanglement, he asked. She asked the Andrew to clean the cobwebs in the kitchen, and it was quite exciting. And she gave such a natural vibe to it. Everybody's grandma, everybody's Lola, and unfortunately, she has passed on. As a matter of fact, it's exciting to read how she ended up being acting in this role. She's not a professional actress, and that's the exciting thing. But her daughter saw an opening casting call on Facebook and asked her mother to, even help her to shoot an audition tape and was sent. And yes, John Watts saw this audition tape and was excited to bring her on board to play the role of Ned's grandma. And yeah, just a point of correction. I did say in the previous story about my review of the open spoiler review of Spider-Man Brand New Day that the trilogy of films was directed by Mark Webb. I made a mistake. It's not by Mark Webb, by John Watts. That's just by the way. But unfortunately, Madame Rivera, has passed on, and it's my condolences to the family and all loved ones whose loss have been um, impacted them gravely. So may her soul rest in perfect peace, and we are blessed to have had her share the gift of her acting with all of us in the Spider-Man No Way Home. So all too soon, we've come to the end of this Spider-Man excitement of breaking all the records that we've been talking about for days, and we're going to keep watching as to still the number of records that it's yet to set. But well, if you haven't watched Spider-Man Brand New Day, go and check it out. But if you have watched it and want to know my review, you can check the open spoiler review, which I'll connect to uh, this particular video when you are done watching. So my name is Papa Otu, and thanks for joining me for this episode of the Film Mandate. I'll see you soon.